Isn't going to be repeating. This isn't me just sort of trying to. I'm not going to recreate that. This is something very different. This is going to be more solely based on Oxford United and where we go from here, and sort of what we do now and what Karl Robinson's got to do, the manager, and what the players have got to do, and as fans, what does it mean to us? And yeah, but that second half was pretty, as Karl Robinson said himself, it was pretty much undefendable, and not just in undefendable as in their goal again is coming from us being very naive, and when you set up so naively in the second half and defending a 1-goal lead, you'll get what you deserve. There should be no, at no point should you say here's the goal now. So it's very, very scrappy, and the big man pokes it home using the sort of abbreviated Karl Robinson term. So he's a bit more in the good books there. Mark has got his full name given. He's not even Sykesy, so he's in trouble. 20 or 30 yards deeper. Well, you're the manager, mate. Surely you should be the one deciding whether or not you pay 30 yards deeper. It's no good telling us now. We've already lost the game because we're playing. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast. It's only a day later. It is Sunday, and we've had a little bit of time, and I've had a little time. I'm sure the Oxford fans have had a little bit of time really just to sleep on the result and sleep on the derby defeat to Swindon Town. And wake up feeling probably the same as you probably went to bed feeling like, and that's pretty down, upset, annoyed, angered, frustrated, and very, very disappointed and embarrassed by the result. And the reason why I'm doing this a day later, and I'll try that again. And the reason why I'm sort of doing an episode of the podcast today is because I wanted to sort of do like a bit of a sort of stand away a little bit from what we saw yesterday, because I don't know if you know this, but I record the podcast episodes, and I record episodes of the podcast for match reactions and match reviews, literally as the final whistle goes. When that final whistle goes, I get straight up here, turn the mic on, get everything set up, and then just record for however long the episode is, whether that's 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, a longer one of potentially half an hour, I'm not, whatever it may be. And I literally just go off the cuff, so I don't really, I make maybe a few notes during the game, but normally it's just, I try and, my best podcasts normally come straight, well, for the ones definitely after the game, come from me just speaking off the cuff and speaking off how I feel the game went, and how I feel, as a fan, how I felt about the performance and the result. So it is just literally seconds after the game goes. I remember, and the episode of the match reaction, if you haven't checked it out on my podcast, on my YouTube channel, it went out yesterday. I'm hoping this is going to come out on Sunday. I'm recording this on Sunday. It might not. It might come out on Monday. Because this isn't going to be a repeat, and this isn't me just sort of trying to. I'm not going to recreate that. This is something very different. This is going to be more solely based on Oxford United and where we go from here. And sort of what we do now, and what Karl Robinson's got to do, the manager, and what the players have got to do, and as fans, what does it mean to us? And yeah, just re-speaking that as well. I've also got some comments I'm going to read out from the match reaction, and I'm going to read that out live on the podcast right now as well. Because I'm going to sort of respond to a few things. I'm also going to just sort of speak, and I'm just going to speak about a few things and a few people that have very kindly come over to my podcast, and said some lovely things. But no, it is football banter, football joke, obviously, and I completely understand that. I was never going to sort of. I understand, obviously, that it was always going to happen if I put a match reaction out, and that was my responsibility when I put a match reaction like that. When you lose to Swindon, obviously you're going to get something back from it. Obviously, people are going to come back from that, and especially Swindon fans are going to come back and be very, very honest about what they thought about the game, and very honest to me about how it all went. But obviously, I understand why, and I 100% get that. We're going to sort of be speaking about the comments of the game. We are going to be going through some of the comments of the game of that match reaction. Obviously, we're going to speak a little bit more about the game, and we're going to speak really more about where do we go from here, because obviously we all had admiration. I certainly did as well. We had aims. I certainly had an aim and an ambition for this football club, sort of to be really successful. What the hell is going on there? Of where I want to be, and sort of what I want to do, and what Oxford United, where we want Oxford United to be. And I think, to be honest with you, I think yesterday was one of those games where if we really wanted anything from that, I think that's pretty much blown it. But I also would like to say as well, I think if I'm being 100% honest, I do think that performance yesterday was more worrying than probably any performance I said that we've seen this season, because in that second half I was just absolutely fuming. That it was an embarrassing second half performance. The first half was good, I'd say. I think it was a decent first half, but that second half was pretty, as Karl Robinson said himself, it was pretty much undefendable, and not just in undefendable as in he couldn't defend it. I think generally we couldn't defend. I think we were absolutely horrific, and it was embarrassing, because it was, we're trying to, anyway, we'll come to it, but basically, why are we coming out in the second half trying to defend the 1-goal lead, when we've got a defence that clearly aren't the highest confidence, clearly aren't defending everything like they were last season. Obviously, we have lost the centre-back in Rob Dickie, but like I keep saying as well, we've got Rob Atkinson that's coming in at centre-back, and I really don't see a massive difference in terms of, I think what we actually are missing is a bit of leadership defensively, which is what we got from Rob Dickie and we don't have from Rob Atkinson. In terms of footballing ability, I don't think Rob Atkinson is miles away from Rob Dickie. I think Rob Dickie is better, but I don't think he's miles away from Rob Atkinson. I might be completely wrong there, but I just don't think that's the case. And realistically, I think we are missing more the sort of the vocal side of things and the leadership side of things, and we're just not getting it from Rob Atkinson and Elliot Moore. I don't think we should expect it from Rob Atkinson, but I think we could potentially expect it from Elliot Moore. I think he's quite a vocal lad. I think he's quite a good leader, and I think he's probably up there with it. If the captain's armband was going to be given to somebody, I think he probably would be up there. Because he's a defender and he's a centre back, but also I think he generally would be up there for leadership, because he seems, he's a centre back. He knows what he's doing. We hope he knows what he's doing. Well, he has shown that he knows what he's doing, and he can be a good leader. So you'd like to potentially think that he could do that role, and he can come in as a captain, and he can sort of order and lead that back line. But at the moment, I don't think he is. But yeah, I'm going to get this out of the way also as well. As much as it pains and hurts me to say it, I think we've got to congratulate Swindon. I understand, obviously, there were some Swindon fans, obviously, that came onto the podcast yesterday. But on it, they outplayed us in the second half. So, obviously, I don't really think we can complain too much about the result. I think we sort of got what we deserve, and I think they played better than us in the second half. It's not, you never want to congratulate a rival on beating them. You never want to lose to them, and you definitely don't want to congratulate them. But I don't think really I just really don't think, to be honest with you, we can come out of that game thinking that we deserved anything more than what we got. When you come out in the second half and try and defend a 1-goal lead in the second half for 45 minutes, I think it's embarrassing, and I think generally you should be punished for that on its own, because I think that is absolutely horrific, and I think the players are going to have to do something about that, and I think the players are going to have to come, and so is the manager as well. But and I said one thing I also said as well that I will sort of reiterate, and I said right at the end of the podcast, I think I said the words. I'll play the clip. Play the clip here. And what I meant by that was not. It was a mix between two. It was a mix between it coming across the wrong way, and it came across a mix between coming the wrong way, and also it's just pure frustration and anger, and mainly that, but definitely a mix of it coming out the wrong way. I'm never going to be embarrassed. I love my football club with every bone in my body, but yesterday I was embarrassed because that performance was embarrassing. When someone says to you, you're an Oxford fan, and everyone goes, "Oh, you must hate Swindon. You've got a good record against Swindon. 8 in a row, whatever it is, 7 in a row. Sorry, I wish it was 8 in a row." And then you have to go and then that last game there you saw, and they probably would have seen. A lot of people would have seen that result. And when everyone thinks Oxford United, they think Swindon. And everyone thinks Swindon, they think Oxford, and we had such a good record against them. It's a derby game, it's bigger than most derbies. and we blew it and we embarrassed ourselves. So it wasn't the fact I'm embarrassed to be an Oxford fan, but I was embarrassed with the performance when I'm saying I'm an Oxford fan because, and the person that explained it, and the guy that the people that said that basically said called me out for basically saying that and said you should never say that. Not in a malicious or horrible way. It was a nice comment and we had a really good football chat about it. But I mean, and he was speaking about how it's been we've had much worse positions in leagues, and we've seen a much worse Oxford United team and things like that. And I understand that, and and I 100% will always be behind Oxford United no matter what. We could be bottom of the league, we could be relegated this season, and the podcast will be back, the episodes will be coming out. If we get relegated before Christmas, which definitely will not happen and isn't actually mathematically possible, but say it was, I'd still be bringing live content to the podcast. I'd still be doing match reactions even if we're relegated, because I just love watching Oxford United. Fans are going to be back into stadiums, next week for the whole game. Sorry, I'm still going to be there. I'm still going to be at that game, hopefully at the game, obviously, because it's not all season tickets, it's only 1,000 fans. I'm going to be trying to get tickets to that game, being a season ticket holder. So, it's not going to be, there's no guarantee, but I'm 100% going to be trying all I possibly can to get tickets for that game. So it's not that I'm not going to go, I'm not going to support or whatever like that. That'd never be the case. But yesterday was an embarrassing performance, and what I mean by that was I generally do think that when you put a performance out like that, the players deserved really to get the result they got. I think 2-1 was a fair result because ultimately and honestly, that second half performance wasn't good enough, and we'll be sort of going through a little bit about that as well. I actually watched the second half again, which was like literally trying. It was one of the worst experiences in my life. I mean, not really, that's a bit of exaggeration, but it wasn't a comfortable watch, obviously, because you know the outcome as well. That's probably the worst thing about it. Actually, probably made it better, to be honest, if you think about it. But it wasn't a great thing knowing that we lost, and you sort of wish that you were watching the game, and it was like you dreamed it last night that had happened, and today was Saturday, and you're watching it again, and you think, maybe the score, maybe Oxford United could have maybe got a goal, even in the first half as well, because we had a chance in the first half. They could have possibly gone in and we won the game 3-2, or tactically didn't try to defend a one goal lead at half time and came out with playing like the home team and playing with a bit of confidence, but we just didn't do that. We came out shy, we came out scared, and we came out panicked. We were sitting players, but we were sitting so many players. Our midfield was so deep. We had we were defending so deep as well. We were inviting pressure, and they clearly saw that. And again, for the first half, Swindon, and I said this last night, Swindon aren't the best footballing side. But again, the comments as well. I'll bring the comments up right now because I basically got told basically what the situation was. But the facts are straight. The facts about the facts were there, and the people said it, and I 100%. So the one person said, you conceded 2 goals to a centre-back and an ex-army soldier playing striker for the first time. And that sounds like he is taking the mick and he is laughing at us. But ultimately, why were the players not going to react to that? Me reading that comment out and him telling me that isn't going to, I'm not going to go and start robbing, I'm not going to, ring up Karl Robinson and tell him, by the way, mate, for the second half we're playing so deep with a big lad up with a huge lad up front, and you're deep. We're playing so deep. He's not gonna. I don't have his phone number. I'm not gonna. I can't tell him that. But the players and the managers, or the manager and his staff, should clearly have realised that when you're playing against a team that have got a big man up front, the target man up front, whatever you want to call him, he's a centre back. They throw a centre back up front. That they're not going to be the best on the. They're not going to be an agile dribbler. They're not going to try and weave in between the two of you. Then they're not going to try and do. They're not going to try and use skills or anything like that. It's very simple what they're going to do. They're going to get their players to hoof it up as hard as they can and hope that it's going to bounce about and you can either tap it in or head it in. That's what he's going to do. So why are we inviting pressure to do that? If you sit back, you're allowing the players. You're not pressing. We didn't press them. We allowed to put the ball into the box. And that's what frustrates me looking back now, because I didn't really mention this in the match preview, but the match reaction, because I was so annoyed about the result. But now when you think about it, we're playing so deep, we're inviting the fact that they were going to put the balls into the box. And when you invite a player to put the ball in the box like that, and, include that with the fact that we're not very strong at defending set pieces, when you put that ball into the box of a very, very tall player up front, who isn't a striker, who is a centre half, that's literally his normal role is to head the ball out and stop goals, and he knows how to defend. and he knows clearly what he wants to do. Like I said, he's not going to try. He's not going to sort of Rabona it in the back of the net. He's not going to hit a 40-yard screamer. What's going to happen is, because we're sitting so deep and no one's pressing the player to put the ball in the box, the ball's coming in. We're allowing them to come into the box, and it's coming and scrapping out. And again and again and again, I'll watch the goal right now. It's going to be like sort of a bit like a live watch along. Obviously, it's not going to be on the screen right now for copyright reasons, but I can, I'm watching the goals now. We don't need to watch our goal. Our goal was a really good piece of quality, a good ball from Liam Kelly through to Matty Taylor. But their goal again is coming from us being very naive. And when you set up so naively in the second half and defending a 1-goal lead, you'll get what you deserve. There should be no, at no point should you be. Here's the goal now. So it's very, very scrappy. And the big man pokes it home. It's very, very scrappy again. We'll send it back. We'll send it back here. So if we take it all the way back now. So it starts with a throw-in on the right-hand side. The ball comes in. It's a really quick throw. It's defending. No one's putting a foot in. We're diving all over the shop. It literally is like a swarm of yellow bees around these players. And no one's touched the ball. And watching it back is embarrassing again. We didn't even read the really quick throw-in, and no one closed the big man down. He's a very, very big lad, and we've let him poke it home like that, really. And he didn't even really need to be marked very, very well defensively, and we probably could have gone 3-1 down after that as well when we just kept inviting the pressure again. Matty Taylor not really closed his man down, can't blame him too much. Big header, and it's gone in. A massive ball over, a hoof ball over, no one's pressing him, one big header, no one's watching that, no one's marking that player, we're inviting it, and it's gone in the back of the net. It's not good goalkeeping. I mean, the goalkeeping is its own issue in itself, but, I mean, the defending for one's horrific, the goalkeeping's abysmal, and just like that, we're 2-1 down, and we've lost the game. So, but it all comes from one big ball over the top of a big man up front. We knew there's a big man up front. Elliot Moore didn't even jump for the header. The ball comes over, no jump there, and their other centre-back's not going with him either, and it's gone in the back of the net. I'm watching this. I'm watching this literally live in front of me right now, and the more I watch it, the more I'm just absolutely horrified by that. It's awful, boys. It's absolutely horrific, and again, it's come from us. Not, we've got 2 centre-backs at the back that I think have been very, very good, but one thing I would say is, it's a bit hypocritical on what I said about the Oxford thing. About Rob, one thing I would say is that about Rob Dickie was, I think what Rob Dickie would have done is he would have come out and whatever he did, no matter who he hurts anyone, if he hurts himself, he's going to win that header. Elliot Moore ducked out of that header, I thought, and then we have our other centre back behind him, sort of our covering centre back, our sweeping centre back, and he missed the header completely. And the goalkeeping's its own issue, but I mean we'll come on to that in a bit, but. We will be discussing more about that. But I mean, horrific. Absolutely awful. The defending from that's poor. We knew what they wanted to do. When you bring a striker up front, when you bring a centre-half up front or a big man up front, who is expecting them to sort of dribble around them and nutmeg a few people and chip it over the goalie? No one's expecting that. What you are expecting is a direct ball, a hoof direct ball, up the field. He's win the header and it's a tap-in. And like I said, it's just embarrassing to watch. And the defending today was awful. Yesterday was awful, and watching that is just horrific. And then obviously as we move on into the manager side of things, because I think that is something we've got to talk about. Sort of all hell broke loose on Twitter last night with some comments made by Karl Robinson. I know Kelly was on media duty, and I know Kelly came out and spoke about the game really and the result, and he got man of the match. He came out and spoke about that, and does the man of the match really matter? If you win it when you lose a derby, obviously they're never going to come out and say, love the man of the match. They're never going to come out and say that. They're always going to come out, obviously, and say, no, it's not as good. We want the team, whatever. I'd prefer to play bad and the team to get the 3 points. It's one of those stupid questions where you know the answer anyway. It doesn't really matter. And even if he had come out and said something stupid, he would have got slated for it anyway. So we obviously know what was going to be said. So that was a really ridiculous question. But he did still come out and talk about it, which was fair enough. It's difficult, obviously, to come out and speak on behalf of the fans. Speak on behalf of the players to the fans, sorry. After you've just been beaten like that, obviously not ideal, and obviously a very, very frustrating, and obviously very, very difficult thing to come out and do. But ultimately, when you lose a game like that, I don't think there should be any really I think you should really come out and really sort of face it with full force. I don't, it'd be a bit cowardly, and think I'd see it as quite cowardly if not many players or no players came out and spoke after that game. Because as fans, whether you've got a season ticket holder and you get the game for free, obviously you still buy the season ticket, so it's not free. Or if you don't have a season ticket and buy that game, it still costs money, and fans are still having to watch that. Whether they, at home, it's the same thing. They're still having to pay money to watch it, and for other players to come out and there still really hasn't been an apology for it. And I understand it's very rash, and should they apologise for a 2-1 defeat against Swindon? I think they should, because it wasn't really like we got robbed by anything. It wasn't really like we put in a quality performance and we got robbed at the end. It wasn't that. We came back and were so bad in the second half that I think the fans deserved an apology for that, because you should never be at home watching your team in a derby game and feel like a goal is waiting to happen. I couldn't even go to the toilet during the game because I just knew that we were going to concede in that second half, because at the end of the day we sat out so badly in the second half that it was only going to be a matter of time before we were going to concede. And that feeling's the worst. That is the worst possible feeling you could come out and do. But in terms of Karl Robinson, I think yesterday, we'll come on to the tactics in a minute, but they were poor. But in terms of the way he said stuff, kind of his comments after the game, I think were, I think that I think they're unacceptable. I think some of the things he said after the game, being the manager, the head coach of this team, the team that's meant to set an example and lead by example in terms of he's the guy that picks the team, he sets out the team, he makes the decisions, the ultimate big decisions that can change games. And to come out and say some of the comments that he made, I'd say personally attacking a player, I think was the worst possible thing that he can do. And he's pretty much just asking for himself to lose the dressing room. And once you do that, you're on a long it might not even be that long, but you're on a trip down a pretty horrible lane, which will eventually end with you leaving the role and you being sacked. And I don't think that the way he went about yesterday was by any stretch acceptable. And whether or not he was trying to sort of get on the sides of the fans and sort of come out and be like, well, why is he not attacking? Why is he not speaking out the players? Why is he not? That's wrong. That's in my opinion. I believe that's wrong. I don't think you should come out and say some of the things he said about players. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, he basically came out and said, he basically singled out Mark Sykes when he came off the bench. And basically just said, everyone keeps telling me, his comments was, everyone keeps telling me that Mark Sykes is a good player. And I just think that's wrong. I think that's just really, really wrong. And should not, I just don't think that should be allowed. I think it has been sort of tried to be sort of taken away, and it has sort of been hidden from sort of public knowledge at the moment. In terms of, I've tried to find it on Twitter, it wasn't there, but I know that somebody forwarded me it and said that they saw it on Twitter, but it actually then got deleted off Twitter because of the backlash that it was getting from it. But there is evidence, and that is there that was said, and I just think that it's just, what he needed to do really was keep that in the dressing room, but coming out and publicly humiliating and speaking about a player like that is just a way in which you're going to lose your job eventually. And I don't want Karl Robinson to be sacked. I'm not one of these people that are already Karl Robinson out, because A, it's not a realistic thing that's going to happen, and B, I don't think he really needs to be sacked, because I don't think he has really got anything drastically wrong apart from yesterday. In his other games, I think he has made some not big, but I think he's made some pretty big mistakes that have affected games. But I don't think he's sort of been the main reason why we haven't got 3 points in some games. I think, to be honest with you, the reason why we haven't got some 3 points in games, and it is a mix of a lot of things, but luck being one. I don't think we've been gifted with a large amount of luck, and also I think the players haven't really been given the high performance levels that we know they can do, and we want them to provide. So it is sort of a mix between a lot of things, but I think yesterday Karl Robinson got it very wrong. It could also have been maybe that he didn't get it wrong, and it might have been the case that he didn't tell the players to sit back in the second half and play really, really negative and play with a really, really deep back line and sit players behind the ball. But to be honest with you, I just think, if the players do have that off their own back, I think that's even more of a worrying thing. I think if the players are not even taking in what Karl Robinson said, if Karl Robinson has said, you've got to play and tap them and sort of use your best, use sort of basically attacking as your best form of defending. If that's that's what we've seen him use so many times, and that's what we've sort of wanted him to do so many times. Because last season that was what we did. We did concede a few goals, but we scored so many, and that's what was so good about last season. And Karl Robinson came in and implemented a tactic and a philosophy in which we play very, very offensive. We play on the front foot and we try and tackle our opposition. But the problem we've got now is that we can't do that, and we're struggling to score the goals. We're struggling to win games by more than any goals really. We've got an issue of not scoring goals, and also the defence is a problem. That's a long time without a clean sheet now, because we know at the end of the day that we've got to score a lot of amount. I said this in the preview, in the match reaction. I keep saying preview. It's the review, that we have to score a certain amount of goals, and we have to score quite a few amount of goals, because to be honest with you, we've got a defence that we know are going to concede goals, and we know that we're going to concede goals because that's the way we play, and also because the defence hasn't been up to it where it should have been this season. So I think that's the problem we've got. We've got this philosophy. We know what we're trying to do, but we haven't. We're mixing between a lack of confidence, a really, I was going to say poor ability, but we know the ability's there. But the players are failing at the moment to really give out a good enough amount of ability and really performing at the highest standard. They're just simply not doing that, and that's the problem, and that's the issue we're getting at. We know we can do it, but we're just not showing it, and that is just it's just heartbreaking and embarrassing, to be honest with you. I'm trying to find this live now. Oxford United boss says our substitutes made us worse. When a manager comes out and does say that, I get what he means, because I think if fans say that, I think it's like fair enough, and they did, and the fans say that, and on Twitter or whatever, on social media, and the fans say that, and you go, yeah, you agree with the fan, you say, yeah, the substitutes to make it worse. But at the end of the day, we didn't pick the team. We didn't say, we didn't pick the 11 players that start today. Karl Robinson made the ultimate decision that he was going to start those players today. He made the ultimate decisions to bring on the players. So to say, I understand he's frustrated, I get it, I think he is right, because I also think, but then I think what he's also forgetting is, clearly, the substitutes against Portsmouth did change the game. So, I think Mark Sykes, for example, I'm not saying I'm singling out Mark Sykes, I think McGuane as well, but I think Mark Sykes, when he came on against Portsmouth, impacted the game a lot. And we're getting Karl Robinson after Portsmouth saying that the substitutes and the five rule situation, or 5 rule thing that's been implemented by EFL with the 5 substitutes, basically helped us bring the performance we got against Portsmouth out of us, and that's the reason why we got a point against them. And now he's coming out and saying that our substitutions made us worse. And the reason why it frustrates me is because the reason why is. The frustrating thing is, for me, and I'm trying to sort of put it into words, but it's one of those things, it's just, even against Portsmouth, I don't think he really gave the substitutes enough credit, really, and I think he's forgetting a lot of things. Dan Hadji didn't have a great first half, but he kept him on against Portsmouth, and then in the second half, he won us the penalty, and he was pretty decent. And I thought he had a pretty good game when he won the penalty. He drived at them, he held at the ball, he's very physical, he really caused them a different issue in the second half. He's bringing him on today, and he's just slating him, and he's saying that he didn't, not slating him personally, but he slated him Sykes personally, but he slated the substitutes, saying that they didn't make an impact. But at the end of the day, they made an impact last week. I don't know what he's expecting, but there'll be games, and there's clearly been games where substitutes haven't made an impact. But it's not like they're never ever making an impact, because we proved again that last week substitutes are making an impact, and the substitutes can change games, and that substitutes can get you something out of a game that you might not have got out of a game if you played 11 players. Obviously, if you didn't make any substitutes, then it probably would have stayed 1-0, 2. It probably would have been more than 1-0 against Portsmouth. We probably would have lost that game quite heavily, 2 or 3-0, because the substitutes did give us something different. It upped the tempo, it gave us something different, and then we don't. But then he sort of comes out and says the substitutes made us worse. Not even that they didn't affect the game; they made us worse. Did they make us worse? I don't know. I feel like they didn't help us in any way. But saying it's worse makes it quite interesting, because Obita, and that's another comment as well. We'll come on to that in a minute. A lot of people are saying that I was very harsh on Obita, saying him bad about him about being released and stuff, and I was quite harsh on that. And I do apologise for that. I was a little bit over the top, maybe a little bit about Obita. But I'm not gonna sort of bottle what I said about Obita and say that I think he's impressed me. I don't think he has impressed me. I really don't think he has. I don't think he's been good enough, and I really don't think he looks up to it yet. Now, obviously, I'm going to give him a chance with any player. I hope he comes up and starts next week, or comes on next week, whatever the situation he is, and comes on and implements and helps the game in a positive way. But since he's come here, I don't think he has helped us in a positive way whatsoever. Someone said that his pass, he's looking up to try and get a pass, but I don't think really he's. I don't think that's what I think. Really, what we need is we needed a little bit of pace, and we needed a little bit of attacking threat on the wings, and we have got that with Shodipo, but Shodipo hasn't been affecting games. He sort of started really well, and he's only sort of gone downwards really, and it's a shame because I was really, really excited about Shodipo. I thought we had a really good player around, which I think we still do. But he's frustrating me recently. He has been frustrating me with his performances. I don't think he's been good enough, and I think he has got to implement games in a better way if he wants to keep himself and he wants to be a big part of this season. I remember when he came and said he wanted to be like Nathan Holland and Marcus Brown and their influences as loan signings for Oxford. He's got a long way to go if he wants to be anywhere near, particularly Marcus Brown. I don't think Nathan Holland made a huge impact on the season, but he definitely made an impact. He's definitely making more of an impact than Shodipo has. I mean, Shodipo started well. That's a bit harsh. I think Shodipo started very, very well, but I think since then, I think he's only gone downward, which is a little bit expected. You're a winger. You're not a centre forward. We're not expecting you to score goals every week, and you're not a midfielder. We're not expecting you to get assists every week. But you're a winger. We want you to beat your man. We want you to come at our defence. And I think again that's where Karl Robinson got it quite wrong. I think that's where we got it quite wrong again last night. Because I think, to be honest with you, I think the wingers didn't really implement the game too much. I mean, we started with Henry. He came off. I don't know. I think Obita should have come off first. I think Henry probably played a little bit better than Obita, to be honest with you. So I think that was a bit of a dodgy one. I mean, there's a lot of things wrong, but I think the substitutes were quite strange. I think keeping on Obita for quite a long time was a little bit strange. But no, I don't know. He said the substitutes made no impact. I think we went backwards. I get it. I think it's a bit harsh, though. I do think it's a little bit harsh on them, but I understand. I can't protect my players today. You make changes to make your team better, and I think ours made our team worse. The goal at the end was just disgusting. We put on Dan Adju, who played well on Tuesday. Mark Sykes, who everyone tells me is a very good player with loads of energy, and they let people run past them. So that's the comment there. So Mark Sykes, who everyone tells me is a very good player with loads of energy, and they let people run past them. Now, by the fact the way he's writing that, so I'm going to repeat that again. I think that's an awful comment to say for a manager. When you're a manager of a football club, that's in a bad situation. We're in the trench at the moment. All we've got to do is get out of those trenches and get out. We can forget playoffs, right? We can forget playoffs now. I know it's early days or whatever. It's not early days. It's really not early days, because I'll tell you how many points we are away from the bloody playoffs. We are miles away from the playoffs. That's over now. Let's try and stay up first. Let's take one thing at a time. We're sat in 19th. We're on 13 points, and the team in 7th, which is just up the playoffs, has got 23 points. We are 10 points away from 7th, and we're 12 points away from the playoffs. That's 12 points. That's 4 wins. Yeah, sorry, I was just literally saw something that come there. Yeah, it's 12 wins. 12 points away from the playoffs. And that's 4 wins. We've got to get 4 wins, and we've got, I think, was it 1 game left? We've got a game in hand, but a lot of teams have got 13 with anyway now. So we haven't really got a game in hand on any other team. We've got a game in hand on some teams, but the majority have also played 13 games, because we obviously caught up with that Swindon game there as well. I mean, some have played 14, but the majority have played 13 like us, so we haven't really got a game in hand. I mean, we have technically, but with not really upon anyone else, because everyone else played 13, the majority anyway. So, and then when you think about the games we've got left in hand, we've got Doncaster, we've got Hull, and we've got Ipswich, all in the opposite order I've just said. We've got Ipswich Ipswich at home. They're all at home. We've got Ipswich, then we've got Hull, and then we've got Doncaster. 3 games in which we've got to get points again. 3 points. We've got to do well, but those are 3 of the most difficult games we could have been asked. I know Ipswich lost yesterday, but they're still going to be a top quality team. They're going to want to get in the Championship. Where are they in the league right now? Oh yeah, I'm looking at them right now. Yeah, they're still in the playoffs. They're still 6th. Then we've got Hull, who are top of the league. So we've got 6th at home, 1st at home, and Doncaster, who are 10th at home. Doncaster should be a team that should be looking at the table and think they should be the easiest opposition. But let's remind ourselves where we are. We're sat in 19th, joint level on points with the team who are in the relegation zone at 21 points. So, who's laughing really? That's what I mean. We can sort of say all this, but they're 10th, we should be beating them. We're 19th, so they're going to be thinking, well, we should be definitely beating them. They're 19th, they're in the relegation zone. They're only not in the relegation zone because of some goal difference. And even that goal difference is only because of one goal less that we've got from one goal difference less than the team in the relegation zone. And we've got exactly the same goal difference, exactly the same points as Rochdale. So we're just as bad as each other. We're joint in the relegation zone, just with one goal difference. So it's embarrassing. And for Karl Robinson to come out and single out a player like that, I think is just awful. Everybody keeps telling me that he's a very good player with loads of energy, but he's being beaten like that and let him walk past you. I'm just embarrassed because, to be honest with you, I just think we had a manager that last season would back, and he's a motivator. He gets beyond the players, and to come out and single out a player like that is just nothing short than unprofessional and embarrassing and unacceptable. That's 3 words, and 3 strong words, but that's the way it is. If that was in a grassroots football league thing, and your manager came out after you and said that, everyone keeps telling me you're a good player, mate, but I don't know what they're seeing. Or I know it wasn't exactly like that, but it's practically what he said, with a few things. Everyone thinks I'm a good player, but you've just been walked past today, which is exactly what he said, or run past today, or whatever it is. I think a lot of people, whether it's strong-minded or not, I feel like you definitely would be annoyed at your manager for that. Whatever, any level. If that was at work, if that's grassroots football, maybe just take it out of the football world. Maybe if you don't play for a grassroots team, and maybe you're just looking at it from a football world. If you're non-football world, if your manager said that to you, well, that's your manager at work, like I said, then I think you'd be very annoyed, and I think you probably would be having serious words and going home that night or whatever, and going home to your family thinking, this is what he's just said to me. What's going on? That was a grassroots football under, even at my age, under 15, 16s. I know some people that probably, if that was said to their manager, and even me, I don't think, I'd certainly be annoyed. I'd be heavily, heavily annoyed by that. But I think, to be honest with you, I think some people would probably even left that job or left that team if their manager had come out and said that in so openly into the public. You say that in the dressing room, but when you come out, and that should stay in the dressing room, but when you come out and say that to public, to the fans, to the people, that Mark Sykes is playing for Oxford United, and you say that to Oxford United supporters, you're just publicly humiliating him, and you're making him feel embarrassed, and you're making him feel worthless to this team, which is the worst possible thing you can do to a player when you're in a position where you want to be getting all the players behind you and getting behind the boys and trying to keep them and try and get them motivated to play every game. We've got to bounce back. But I'm fed up with it. We've got to bounce back because there has been no time this season. And how many games are we into this season now? We're 13 games into this season, and there's not been a game where we've won a game back to back. We've won and got a point. We've won and lost, but we haven't won a game and then won a game back to back. So we're not getting any consistency. We're not getting any positive consistency, and we're getting some negative consistency, but not any positive ones. And we've got a manager now that was always all about motivating and getting behind his players and telling his players that they were going to be the next Lionel Messi, and think, getting them really up for it and hype for it, and really getting behind them and telling them this is what you're all about, this is what you can do. And now next we lose a derby game, he's panicked and just gone out and said something about Mark Sykes. Everyone tells me he's a good player, but what are you on about, mate? You know what I mean? I just think that's embarrassing for him, and I think he's really got to look himself. We put middle on. I didn't see what he'd given us. We put middle on. I don't see what he'd given us. Who's middle? We put midday. Oh, he means he means Shadipo. Is that what he means? We put midday on, and I don't see what he's given us. Again, strange, that one. Strange. I mean, at least he's still using the sort of abbreviated Karl Robinson term, so he's a bit more in the good books there. Mark has got his full name given. He's not even Sykesy, so he's in trouble. Simon Eastwood and Robinson chose not to comment on the goalkeeper error. Mate, you're the manager of the football club. You come out and talk about it. You either come out and back him, or you come out and not back him. By not saying anything, you look like a coward, mate. You know what I mean? It looks cowardly if you don't come out and comment on it. Maybe I'm being a bit individual in my criticism, and there were some aspects of our game that we were very rugged. rudged. I don't understand why we played 20 or 30 yards deeper. Well, you're the manager, mate. Surely you should be the one deciding whether or not you play 30 yards deeper. It's no good telling us now. We've already lost the game because we're playing 20, 30 yards deeper, or whatever you want to say. And I think if you're the manager and you're coming out after the game and saying, I don't know why we played don't know why we played 20 or 30 yards deeper, then I think you've got to look at yourself a little bit and probably look at your players and think, well, ultimately you're the one that set out the team like that. If they're going against you like that, then you're in a whole lot more trouble than I think you're in. I think we're in a lot of trouble. So if they're going against your tactics, mate, then I think we are in a lot of trouble, more trouble, than we already are. And then said when they go with a big guy up front, the only way you can defend is by keeping your high line. They've got nothing to lose in the last 15 minutes. I think that's accurate. That's right. But what I don't think is that right is you coming out, and I know I keep going back to it, but it's true, man. You don't see that being happen in football, but and we know Karl Robinson does tend to be very open in his interviews and does try and tend to sort of go maybe cross the line a little bit with how honest he is sometimes. But that's crossing the line a bit too far. I think publicly going about and saying stuff about a player, I think that is too far. I think that is too far. I'm glad he did say something about we put Dan Adji on, who played wonderfully on Tuesday, but then you're speaking about Mark Sykes like that, and and he does really, and it's not even like he's negative about all of them either. Dan Adji played wonderfully well on Tuesday, basically saying that he didn't play wonderfully well tonight, which I don't think he obviously last night, which I don't think he did. We put Mide on. I don't see what he's given us, but he hasn't said that everyone keeps telling him Mide is a good player. He publicly said something about Mark Sykes, which is out of order, so that's a problem. But no, I don't know where we go from here, boys. I don't really know where we go from here. I think what is a problem is I think some people have been quite I just think that some people are calling him to be sacked. That's not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. Unfortunately for them, that isn't going to happen. We've given him a 4-year contract at the start of the season. That compensation is going to be gigantic. It's going to be massive. We can't afford to do it in a COVID world. If we wanted to do it, we couldn't do it anyway. I'm not going to be a person that's going to come out and say that I think Karl Robinson should be sacked. I don't think he should, because I think, to be honest with you, where did he take us last season? He took us in a good position last season. We got to the playoff final, and we got something really good going there. So I think I don't think we should judge him off that. But ultimately, this is the first time that he's got us into a rut, and he's got to get us out of one. He sort of came in a bad situation, and he got us out of it and saved us from relegation when he first came in. And then he had a full season in charge, in which he showed to be a very good manager and get a really good squad going, and we got to the playoff final. Wasn't to be. And then we're here now, and he's got himself in a bit of a poor situation. He's got United in a bit of a dodgy situation, and now he's got to get out of it. It's not going to be a case of coming in as a fresh new face man, a fresh new man. Fresh on the door. I'm going to be the man that's going to tell you all you're all messy, and we're going to get out of this together, because ultimately he's the person that's got us into this mess. Maybe not him as just him, but him and his players, him and the team have got us in the situation we're in right now. We're 90th in the league because of the team and the manager and the staff and everyone at the club. So they've got to get us out of it. That's simple as that. And where the title of this episode of the podcast will prove, where do Oxford go from here? And I think where we go from here, as cliche as cliche as it sounds, I think we've just got to get a response. But what worries me really is we've got three probably the most difficult games to come back on. When I think of teams that I would rather not play, when I'm looking for a comeback, and I'm looking for a game to get some confidence against, I really don't think Ipswich at home, Hull at home, who are top of the league and 6th in the league, and then Doncaster, who are playing really good football this season at home, I don't think those are the three teams, and probably some of the last teams I want to be coming up against when we're not in a good position, and a game I want to do. I want to come up against when we're not performing very well. I say that also, but I don't think we're going to come up against many teams playing the way we are, and get anything from the games if we put in performances like we have done this season, and especially yesterday. If we put in anything like that we did in that second half performance, I think we should be looking at a really, really bad season. Like I said, I think playoffs has got to go. I'll still say that the target probably will be if we can get 3 wins out of the next 4, we get 9 points out of 12. I think we can be happy with that. But that included Swindon. and we didn't get anything out of that now. So which means if my target's going to happen, we're going to have to beat Ipswich, Hull, and Doncaster, and that isn't going to happen. And I don't think that's going to happen. Even if we play really well against Hull, I don't think we can beat them. Even if we play really well against Ipswich, it's going to take a really, really good performance and a little bit of luck and a lot of quality to beat them as well. And same with Doncaster. So it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a very, very difficult game. And a lot of things went wrong for Oxford United yesterday, and a lot of things went against us yesterday. But I think what happened after the game with Karl was unacceptable. With some things he said, I think the way that we set up was very, very poor. I think the lineup, looking back, probably was okay and probably was quite good. I thought McGuane, Kelly, and Goran was quite a decent midfield. We changed it, didn't really work. The front three of Obita, Taylor and Henry didn't really click. I thought Henry didn't really get into the game. Obita wasn't great, like I already said. And Taylor was probably the only player there, but he should have scored more than one. I know he got the goal. It was a really good finish, but he probably should have scored two. We definitely should have got two, potentially even three. And I thought defensively we were a little bit all over the shop at times. We were playing very, very deep, like Karl said. But again, like I keep saying, if it's the players that have decided to come out of this and play deeper than Karl Robinson's asked him to, then I don't know where Karl will be standing today or whenever they come back into training, which will probably be, which I'm guessing will probably be Monday, unless they have training on Sunday. I hope they do. They don't deserve a day off on Sunday, so I'm guessing they'll probably be back in today, and definitely obviously Monday. So whenever he speaks to them, I think he's got a lot of things to talk about. I think there'll be a lot of work to do. I mean, they had individual meetings, like he said, against Crewe. I think they need more than bloody individual meetings after that performance. I think they need some more than meetings. I think that's what they need. I think they should rename the word meetings and use the word bollockings. I think they need more than meetings to sort that performance out, because that was abysmal in the second half, and they really do need to sort it out. But like I said, congratulations to Swindon. It hurts me and pains me to say it, but you were the better team in the second half and you deserve to win. But yeah, I mean, we've got a good position. I am going to sort of read out a comment as well. I'm going to read out a few comments actually, and I'm going to sort of respond to a few of them. Right now, I will read a few of them out, and we'll sort of discuss a little bit about the game, about some of the comments that said. So the top comment with 3 likes was a Swindon fan. Like I've already said, conceded 2 goals, and we've already discussed that. Sorry, we already discussed the big man up front. Again, we're awful. Tommy Broadbent, is that the name of the geezer? I've been told by multiple Swindon fans in the comments that he was the one that scored. Congratulations to Broadbent. You did score the goal. Well done, mate. I doubt you're watching, but you know. In fact, there's no chance he's watching. Neither team looked... I thought this was a good comment, actually. Neither team looked very good, to be honest. Was extremely worried at half-time, but you lot came out looking like us in the first half. Was amazing to get the win, though. Just a shame we didn't get to see it live. I think that's a good comment. I think that's a fair assessment from a Swindon fan as well. I think as a Swindon fan... actually being quite logical about the game, to be honest with you. Coming out and saying neither team looked very good in the first, good generally. I don't think we did. I don't think any team looked unbelievable. But like I said, we came out worse in the second half. They came out better in the second half, and that's why they beat us in the second half. We should have got 2-3 goals in the first half. We didn't. We only got 1, and they took their chance in the second half when they were playing better than we were and won the game 2-1. So I think that's a very, very good, fair assessment of the game. So happy Swindon won. It's about time we won. We've got such a poor record over poor record over past meetings with Oxford. Again, I think we didn't have a great record, but that record is now finished for Oxford United's point of view, and a new record for Swindon. They'll hopefully think that they can start a new one. Only we can just change that. Oxford and Swindon. When obviously we play later in the season. Red Army was another one. Swindon, of course. This was a good comment, though. This was a really good comment. And this was a fellow Oxford United sort of person that speaks about the games. And he commented a quality comment, mate. Absolutely quality comment. Speaking about... just generally speaking about how it was. And it was a fat old... comment, a big comment, but he said, so getting beyond the ranting, which is perfectly understandable, the question is, do you think Karl Robinson will drop Eastwood? I can't see it. I like Stevens and would be fine with him taking over, but I can't see Karl Robinson making the core. I responded now. Do I think Jack Stevens will be dropped, or will be bringing in, or do I think Karl Robinson will drop Eastwood? The fact he didn't comment suggests to me that there is something suggesting there. If he'd come out and publicly backed him and supported him and said, no, everyone makes mistakes, the classic manager comment, he'll come back stronger, whatever, he's a good lad, he's mentally strong, I think he'll be fine, then I think we maybe could see it. I think that would be a pretty much guarantee that he's gonna start. That is Eastwood. But the fact he didn't comment, and the fact that he did say, I read another interview that he did say that there is going to be a decision he's got to make on the goalkeeper, suggests to me that I do think we probably will see some change in the goalkeeper. And also, if you're Jack Stevens and you're sat on the bench after some of the performances that we've seen Jack Stevens make, I think you've got to be really wondering, what have I got to do to get in the team when we've got a goalkeeper at the moment that's making some silly mistakes? So I think that realistically, I think he's got to make a big call there. So, and I replied to that saying I do think he probably should be. I think that I can't see it happening because I don't think he will. But I'd be behind it. I think I would be behind it as it stands. And I love Simon Eastwood, but I think he's got to have a little bit of time to step away from the first team, step away from that sort of starting lineup fame, and sort of take him sort of out of the firing line, similarly like he did with Sean Clare. He was getting pretty much bullied when he played at right back by the fans, and he took him out, and Salmon's back there playing right back. So I think that was probably the best call. Secondly, this was the follow-on sort of the next bit of the comment. Secondly, I quite like Obita. I think that he does not have the pace, but I like the fact he can get his head up and play passes rather than run down blind alleys. Reading are a league above and have a new manager that maybe just don't feel like they needed him. Also, with COVID, a lot of players got released. He can improve. He's only played 4 games. People thought that McGuane and Kelly were garbage after the first few games of the season. Now they look a lot better. And yeah, I do think that's agree. I certainly agree with the McGuane and Kelly thing. I think a lot of people sort of judge Kelly. I was sort of was a little bit worried about him, but now he plays in that more offensive role. I was really excited with him. I never really doubted McGuane. I thought McGuane did lack a little bit, and I don't like using the word attitude, but I think he did sort of have a pretty dire attitude after the Lincoln game. He didn't look great against Lincoln, and then he sort of fought back into the team, and he's back there now, and he's looking better. And probably looking one of the best players we've got in midfield with Kelly, and they look pretty good, and Gorin looks quite good. So we've still got players that are playing on form, and I'm happy to see playing. So that's the way it is. But on Obita, again, I'm not going to sort of bottle it just because of a comment and change my opinion. But I do think that he's got a lot to prove. I do think he's got quite a long way to go if he wants to sort of get, be part of, be a top quality player in this Oxford United team. But no, I understand where he's coming from. I understand where the comment was coming from. And he agrees that there's no pace there. I don't think there's a lot of pace. But I know what he means. He's not a player that's going to be running at defenders. He's not going to be a player that's going to beat fullbacks. He's going to try and whip a ball in the box, and he's good at passing and crossing. I understand what you mean. I understand what he means by that. But no, I understand that. I do get that. I do get that. He said keep up the good work, also enjoy the podcast. He did obviously also mention there as well, and by the next game you'll be funny behind the yellows. No, yeah, I know. Some person did say on the comments there, please never be embarrassed to be an Oxford fan. We've been far lower in League One. It's no distant past. Torridge Angel defeat was springs to mind. By the next game, and I'll always be following Oxford United. I'll always be behind Oxford United. I'm a season ticket holder. I love the club. I've been up there, for years. I've got a podcast now about it. So obviously someone's got behind it, and I explained it was taken the wrong way, and yeah. I explained at the start of the podcast. It was taken the wrong way. And Fernie said, keep up the good work and really enjoy the podcast. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, my friends. And I do love your content as well. Definitely check it out. That's Very Biased Opinions on YouTube. Definitely do check them out. They do Oxford United reviews, just like myself. A little bit calmer, I'd say. Calmer and methodical. Methodical. Is that the word? Methodical way of looking at games. Much better than I am in a methodical way. I'm quite passionate. I'm not saying he's not passionate. I'm sure that they are passionate. But I mean... I'm very much more, I can be a little bit more rash with my comments. I think that's better. But there you go. That's what you get. Different opinions. But no, I do enjoy your thing. And he does create, they do create, they're a double. They do create top quality content. Anyway, Michael Farr says, who put the ball in the, yeah. That'll be Tommy Broadbent again. We didn't, crazy. I haven't heard of him before. What do you think of Oxford's performance? Didn't quite catch it. Fantastic. And basically just lots of people saying, "Come on, Swindon." And this was a really good comment as well. I'm gonna, this was a good comment. This was a really good comment. Poor football all round. First half, Swindon deserves to be 2-0 down. Worst performance I've ever seen Swindon play. Second half, Oxford were poor. Managed to scrap an equaliser from a centre back going up front. Then a poor goalkeeper mistake at the end. Swindon were much better in the second half. Both teams' standard of football was poor. Spot on, mate. I do think it was. I thought generally the quality of football was very, very bad. But at the end of the day, you came out basically with a better result and a performance that you're going to be much happier with, of course. Anyway, that's going to wrap up this episode of the podcast, sort of a debriefing, longer episode of the podcast today, taking a step back, much calmer, much more sort of level-headed morning after episode of the podcast, even though it's now 2 o'clock. But yeah, I'm going to go and watch the Man United game because that's on TV, and then we've got the London derby between Tottenham and Chelsea tonight. So this evening, should I say, to look forward to. But anyway, I'll be back later. Later this week, of course. We've got Tuesday's game. I'll probably be back on Wednesday doing the match reaction for that. But anyway, stay safe, people. Have a good rest of your weekend. Have a good start to your week, and I'll see you all on Wednesday. Subscribe if you're new. Like this episode of the podcast, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.